there's no lines below for us to follow. So we can look up and we can say, okay, that's the vision I'm shooting for. But if anybody's done open water swimming and you keep going and going, eventually you have to keep your head up. We do visioning exercises, we create vision boards, and we paint this vision of where we want to go to. And sometimes it's great aspirationally, but like the path to get there can be quite spiraling and different and squiggly all over the place. But we tend to say that it's going to be some great straight line. You're just going to make all the decisions that you need to make in order to get there. And I think what I'm trying to help people do is think more about, yes, that's a great vision, but let's make sure that you aren't so disrupted in your like when life comes along and shifts and changes that and makes it so that vision, it may not be possible anymore. Let's make it so you don't get so disrupted that you're actually able to continue to maintain your stability, so that you can you're on a dynamic foundation, one that moves with the change around you, as opposed to being on a stable foundation that might crack when suddenly things change. And we're going through this world, and we're having foundations crack all over the place. And a lot of our preparation for life has been based on this idea that there's some stable route that we can take to get to success. And I just want to get people to start thinking, actually, maybe that vision, you hold on to that big long-term vision a little bit more loosely. And instead of feeling like you have a spotlight that like shines the entire way forward, let's get comfortable with the fact that you just have a phone flashlight and you can at least see that first step forward. And that, when you get to that next step, you'll be able to see a little bit further forward. Then when you get comfortable with looking at it, both from like an aspirational idea, but like a focus more present in the moment, I'm just trying to make progress today. When those disruptions come along, you're still there with your flashlight going, well, I can't go that way anymore. How about this way? And it's just a nicer way of thinking about how progress is supposed to unfurl.
Yeah, I mean, so you hear some people talk about, you want the destination to be clear, like the goal to be clear, but the path to be open, like be clear in your destination or clear in your goal, but like opening your path. Do you also think that the goal itself needs to be flexible, that your big end goal needs to be flexible?
Yeah, 100. Yeah, for sure. How I started off doing my own business was helping people reinvent their careers. And one of the things I talk to people about is that, hey, that vision that you have in front of you, it may not be what you're actually shooting for. When's the last time you sat down to ask yourself, is that really aligned with who you are as an individual? Is that really what you want, or is that what other people have told you want? I don't think we have that conversation with ourselves enough.
Yeah, that's interesting that you can get so stuck in something you used to want or you've always wanted that you don't realize you've changed, and that thing you want, you're not even aligned with that thing anymore. Your interests have moved. It reminds me of what could have been one of the greatest sitcoms of all time that will never be remembered as such now, which is How I Met Your Mother. Which was prepared for fans of the show. It was gonna go down with Seinfeld and Friends among the greatest, I Love Lucy, the greatest sitcoms of all time. And they botched the ending, and they botched it so bad, kind of like how people think about Game of Thrones, where the ending was so bad you can't even rewatch the show enjoying it, knowing how bad it ends up. And the problem was that the writers of the show, for those who've never seen the show, the writers of the show, when they started the pilot season, they had written the ending. They knew the two characters that were going to end up together and how it was going to happen. And the joy of the show, which was what people loved, was we didn't know that yet, but we wanted to see how it got there, that it was being told in flashbacks in the future. And what happened was nobody imagined the show would go 9 seasons, would go 9 years. Mm-hmm. They thought the show would go 2 or 3 seasons, and we would build up to that ending we wrote. And what happened is, over 9 years, characters of a TV show they're living, breathing things. They're real people in a sense that the audience makes them real. And over the course of seasons and seasons of the show, the characters changed in ways that the writers had never originally imagined. But then in the 9th season, the writers just went, we're going to do the ending we wrote 10 years ago. And they did the ending. They just shoved it in. And the characters that ended up together, there's no reason, nobody bought that they would ever have ended up together at that point in these characters' stories. And that's what I was thinking about as you were talking about that you can get so stuck on a goal and not realize that you've changed or the world changed and this goal just doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah. I use the analogy of open water swimming. That when we're in a swimming pool, it's easy to look down and know that we're tracking, the direction we want to go because there's this line in front of us and we're like, okay, that's taking us to our vision, which is, the wall on the other side. But when we're doing open water swimming, which is kind of the world that we're living in now, there's no lines below for us to follow. So we can look up and we can say, okay, that's the vision I'm shooting for. But if anybody's done open water swimming and you keep going and going, eventually you have to keep your head up because every so often you kind of pull a little bit more to the left, you pull a little more to the right, or there's current or wind or whatever, and it completely can move you off from that island you were shooting for or whatever it was. And you might be freaking out when you get your head up and go like, wait, I was supposed to be way over there. But if you really take a moment, you might look and say, actually, that island looks better. I think I'll go to that one. But we so rarely take our head up out of the water to see, does it make sense for me to still go to that water? Because the forces in the universe are kind of pushing me and telling me that actually this island over here is a better one. This vision over here is a better one. I think that's the world we're living in right now. We have a world that's putting all kinds of blocks and barriers, throwing wind and currents at us. And wouldn't it be better to be able to lift your head up there and go, instead of freaking out about the fact that you're not making it to that vision, instead you're like, well, all right, where's this thing taking me? Is there anything else that looks good here? Oh, that's good over there. I like it.
Yeah.